Welcome to the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine podcast series where we cater to you mind, body, and soul. Join our host, Mr. Victor Francis, and his guests as they discuss nutrition, health, exercise, diabetes, and much more. Right here every Saturday at 7 p.m. Now, here's our host, Mr. Victor Francis.
Hi, good night, good night, good night. Right, so once again, it's your boy here, Vic, and I just want to say good night to everybody, right? And another episode of Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Podcast. And tonight, I have another amazing guest, right? And that guest is in the health and wellness niche, and is health and vibration. So I know plenty of you all will wonder vibration. Yes, so listen, tune in, right? And you will see and hear how we connect health and vibration. And I will allow this amazing guest to introduce herself. Yes? So, right. Nice. Good night, good night, good night.
Good night.
Right. So before we get going, welcome on Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine podcast. And every single Saturday we just have a amazing guest. I just have, and you are actually, one of, your niche is different to all the people I had. I had doctors, nutritionists, fitness people, healthy people, with healthy businesses, something like that. But you is health. You connect health together with vibrations, and I know there's a lot of people be tuning in to find out, how come health and vibration could be, part of our daily life. So before we get kicking on that, you could introduce yourself and let us know like your background, and how we end up, into this particular field.
Okay, good night, Victor. Thank you so very much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. Just to be here is a pleasure. Thank you so very much. Thanks. And thank you for everyone who's listening. I'm Kumsa Harry, and let me just start. I'm a registered nurse and a midwife, among other special areas in my profession. I've been in this medical field maybe for the last 48 years. And I always tell people back in the day, your ancestors made sure that you did what you were assigned to do. So that was my privilege at that time. And as you journey through your career in health, it takes you from your physical to your spiritual to your vibrational. And health is everything that we do, everything that we think, everything that we eat, everything that we speak. But what I've observed basically is that the times that we are living in, it's different. It's changing, it's evolving, and we are evolving we are moving from human to become much more divine. That's the world that we are living in, and now is the time. And life evolves and system comes into play based on our needs and based on how the universe ensures that we evolve. And this is what we have to be grateful for this time. So we are in a time in life where ancient times meet what we call medicine. And this is an auspicious time just to be alive on this planet. Because now we can see what the markers and the work of our ancestors and what we are doing now. And it is such an auspicious time to be here. So as I'm talking about my journey through my career, I came at a time into healthcare way back in the 1976 when there was a lot of revolution. There was a lot of awareness. So from that time, we started to move. If we are observant, we started to move from the things that was cast in stone to where we are at this point in time. So the evolution became very obvious, So what we have done over the years as beings and science, great scientists now, science is proving the way our ancient ancestors lived. An example, there was a time when you did your biology and they said that the pineal gland in the brain was insignificant. Now the pineal gland is one of the most important focusing point of the brain. So these are things that we look at as we move along and we recognize how we are evolving and we are becoming such divine beings. We are becoming such graciousness and we don't even recognize it. And that goes with the evolution that we are going through at this point in time. There are negatives, yes, but there's also the yin and the yang, the up and the down, and the in and the out. And that's what balances the universe.
Yes. Right. So that is some nice knowledge there. The first time I met you, and it's like when we started, talking, and I realized that what you were saying is it makes so much sense. For me being in the health and wellness niche, and being a health ambassador for each and every house in whole in Trinidad and Tobago, and we are missing so many important information. First of all, Fortress Fitness is our motto is that it's a holistic approach to wellness, and it's mind, body, and soul, right? So the energy that you speak of is so important, for what I do under this banner, right? So when I would have met you, you were the missing piece of what I am actually doing, because I haven't had someone in this podcast that speaks of what you actually talking about. Most people come here and we talk about the physical, we talk about the nutritional part of it, and in some instances, we mention some spiritual, right? So what I want to ask you now is, how did you transform from, being in the medical field, in the sense of being a registered nurse and for so long, and when was the transition happen to get into the vibration? When was that?
There was really no specific time. There was a smoothness. There was an awareness that started evolving. There's an awareness where we start, and I also think it started with when I was being trained as a nurse. I met the professionals who taught you connections that you did not read in the book. So a simple thing, like I'm a midwife, right? And I was taught by these divine people, that in a delivery, when the baby head comes down, you put your finger between the baby head and the perineum, so the hair would not scrape the walls of the perineum, and thereby avoiding mommy from getting that kind of injury that you don't need really, and weakens the wall of the perineum. And then there was an experience I had. I was in the theater. I was working with a surgeon. He has since transitioned. The people in Trinidad might know him, Dr. Collymore. And he would come into the theater and he would sit. There's a special stool he sits on, and he would pray for a good 15 minutes and then start his surgery. And he had belonged to a particular understanding of life. And all these things came together for me, as I found that they were different from what I read in the book. So you were not taught these books. And then when I was in the theater, I worked with a woman that she's in transition as well, called Sister P. And she would have a book in her prayer book in her pocket, and she just taking it out and read it all the time and trying to look what this is all about, because I'm young. So I just thought that they were just being religious. But as I go on, I did yoga and I did qigong, and you do tai chi, and you start knitting things together. You start having respect for every aspect of life. You start looking and seeing how you are connected to life itself. You start looking and seeing that when it's full moon, the amount of we had more, more deliveries. When it's full moon, you had people bleeding a little more. All those things are things that you were taught to observe, but you weren't taught in a book. So these people, like once I was doing a program and I had was to find out about the medicinal plants of Trinidad and Tobago that you use in childbirth and you use after you had a baby. And I had a journey to Guayguayari to meet this elderly lady because her mother was a midwife. And she said that in the community back in the time when mommy was in labor and they sent to call her grandmother would go to the sea. And if the tide is high, she know that this labor is going to be short, and if the tide is low, it's going to be time. But I didn't take that as a myth or any old wise tale or anything. I look and see was it really true, and then you make the connection. And then I started to recognize that we are the universe, and the universe is us. We are stars. We came on Earth to be stars. We are made stars. Everything that the earth have, we have in us. But we have to become very observant. And I know we live in at a time where everybody's really kind of busy now and we are not focusing. But we are getting there. People are becoming aware that we are more divine more than we are human. But we have to use this physical vehicle. And Victor, stop me if you find I'm going on without stopping.
No, you go ahead. You're going good. You go ahead.
But if we look and see where the science is going, where scientists are going, where they are giving up the some of the thought processes that we had long ago, and they are now proven that what has happened over the years it has been true, and they're now putting a scientific understanding to it. The indigenous people, they always talk about the heart. And we are like, think with your heart. But when we look at creation, where the sperm and the egg comes together in the fallopian tubes, there are rings of cells that are formed around when they get together in this embryo. But it is the heart that is the first organ that is formed when the universe comes and brings life into itself, onto itself, as I would say, So what happens is that heart is where we come from. So now scientists are recognizing that is in the heart. The heart carries the energy, the brain carries the wave. So then we come now and we recognize how the pineal gland is important, because the pineal gland now have energetic rods that are attached to that energy field that we exist in. And if we look at our own development as human beings, what we recognize is that from the time we were born until maybe about 11, we are very psychic. Children are very psychic. And we say, oh, they are wise old people. Yes, for those of us who understand the process of, transitioning and coming again. And I mean to tell you, that can be proven in different ways. But, we don't have, but when we look at how life has evolved, so we recognize that by the time the child reaches 11 years, by the time we reach 11 years, so the psychic ability of the child is very important at that time. And that's where the programming is. And so that's why they said, sometimes give me a child until the child is 7. And I know the adult, the child is coming in too. But we can't stop there because we live in a culture where that programming, that energy in the environment is not what it's supposed to be. So as we keep on growing, nature, the universe has provided us with a system of reprogramming and rechanging. So this energy field that we live in is really managed by these wheels that we call our chakras. And and so they have different colors, and later on we will talk about, get specific about that. But I want to make a point how important it is. So that's why sometimes we have a challenge with teenagers and we find it, what happened around the pineal gland that years ago, maybe 30, 40 years ago, they said pineal gland didn't serve any purpose. The science is now is coming and said, no, it's a very important part of the brain. So what happened? As a child becomes 11, 12 years, there's a little film of cartilage now that grows around the pineal gland, and thereby we sometimes lose that ability to be psychic, and those energy rods now become, very distorted among us. And if we look through, if we try to look through energy lens and energy field, we will see them as little puffy things by our ears because they have been distorted. And for those of us who are into movies, if you look at Matrix, it is a part of Matrix where a little child sat and just bent his mind with a spoon. It is all about energy. And why did they use a child and then use an adult? But let's not worry, because sometimes we think that after 7 years it's the be-all and the end-all of it. No, the universe has provided us with an ability to slow our brain waves down and reprogram. And that's the grandeur of life, because we came on earth to evolve as healers, to evolve as divine beings, to evolve as physical beings, so that it helps us now to adjust that spiritual part of us, the psychological part of us, the emotional part of us, the mental part of us. All is not lost. It's right there. It's right there in us, in our energy centers, where the wisdom of the body lies. So the universe is not going to bring us here and tell us that we are the part of the stars, is a part of the moon, and us. The same for those of us who are Christians. What did the Bible say? Great things I've done and greater things you can do in my name. So the thing is that we are endowed with all the parts of the grand universe that God has given to us, all life has given to us. So that's where we are in our journey of health.
Right, and that was well, it's all about health, right? So it's fine, and I am very interested in that part of health, because again, it's not a part that I'm familiar with, and I want to ask, how important it is, the connection between that energy and healing yourself, in the sense of, what I'm talking about as a registered nurse, is that because you know that we have a lot of sickness going on all over the world, whether it's lifestyle disease and whatever. And as people say, what, just believe and face it head on. But I think some of the people who might have beat some of these lifestyle disease, or even whether it's cancer, whatever the case is, and they would have tuned into themselves, accept it, and say, what, tap into the inner self, they stand a better chance of getting rid of whatever illness or sickness they have. So I would like you to just touch on that a little bit, because I myself is not too versed in that particular area, and I know the importance of, because we keep hearing about vibration and energy, how important it is, and I do believe that there's positive and negative energy, right, within people. And sometimes if you're within your space, you can feel someone with a positive energy, the same way you can feel someone with a negative energy. And if negative energy exists, which it is, right, and just as positive, it means that what positive energy will do in a positive way, negative energy will do in a negative way to that oneself, right? So I wouldn't want to me personally, I don't want no negative energy in me. I could tell you that because I'm all for wellness and all of that, right? So I want you to just elaborate more on how important it is to have what is a positive attitude to invoke a positive energy, especially when you're going through illness.
Yeah. You're very correct, Victor. Life is a journey, so we have to understand that. And some of the tools, this luminous energy field. So I was talking about the heart, and the heart is what carries the energy. The brain carries the wave. So everything is yin and yang, up and down, in and out, as I said before. So that luminous energy field is the software that informs the DNA, which is the hardware to repair the body. You understand? So
Yes.
we are not in a vacuum. We are inter and interrelated. So that the energy field that we all have, because I mean, tell you, look at how the universe has made things. When in utero, you are in a sac. Every organ has a lining around it. So it's the same way that the universe has provided this energy field around you. So there are certain things, a number of things that are going to influence the energy field. So what happens? Somebody has cancer, as you're talking about, right? So you focus on where is the cancer. Now research is showing that when you put a label on an illness, the body, every cell listens to everything that you say. So that's why the ancient people spoke about dis-ease, but not a label to the dis-ease. So you know there's a disease in your system, but they don't put labels to it. And that's a choice we make.
Yeah.
The thing is that every time I say I have an illness, my body hears me. And every cell responds to what I am saying. So when we talk about negative, so now a thought is an energy because it goes out there. A word has an energy. Remember, we are dense light. That's why in your energy field, when you can open those energy centers, put light into it and lock it back down. As a matter of fact, that's how they heal your energy centers. And you can look at what all the scientists are saying now. So the reprogramming of the cells, the reprogramming of the body, together with other things that you do. I'm not saying that we are not where we are to use that alone in terms of our health. So this is a combination. You come and you have your diet and you have all the other things. But the food that we eat has an energy. When you eat, what signal, what conversation does the food have with your body? All of that is in the energy field. So sometimes we think that it's just one thing. No, it's the way we walk, the way we talk, everything. But what our energy centers have taught us first to begin, an energy center holds the wisdom of the body. This is the divinity that life has given to us. But just as how, and remember, God gives us a choice. We can choose. So we can choose a negative thought or we can choose a positive thought. But what comes in is the programming. Remember, we were talking about the programming and the rods and the pineal gland and that stuff. We were talking about that just now. So what program do I have? I can change the program. Look at our physiology. Everything, they talk about artificial intelligence. But the chakra holds the organic intelligence of the body. So we don't have to fear artificial intelligence because we have the organic intelligence that exists in us.
All right. So well said, well said. And now I heard you mention the heart, right? In this world now, all of us are problems with the heart, because the heart where we believe everything starts, emotions and all of that. And I like how you connect the heart with the brain, because a lot of people don't, including myself, don't understand the connection based on what we speak out of our mouth. So, for instance, um, the heart is a very sensitive thing, I believe. So when people say, what, my heart, I love this person, right? Is it based on an emotion, how you feel in your heart, and then you speak out the positive word to connect what you feel, and then your brain have a part in that. So therefore, when you say a negative thing based on how you feel a negative way towards somebody, it speaks out through your mouth, right? And I
Very good.
all and I also I've learned it from you, because when we talked last time, don't feel like it was just conversation. I went and studied, because I realized that I actually missing that part of my holistic approach to wellness, and it's important, right? So what I want to say too, obviously, because I want to learn as much as I can. I'm pretty sure a lot of viewers out there the same would want to learn about the connection between your heart, your brain, and what you speak out of the mouth, and it matters what you say based on the universal vibration. I've been learning that recently. So and going back to the Bible, I think somewhere in there, I don't know scripture to know what verse or whatever, but I know life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? And I often tell people the same way we pray to God, to ask Him to bless us, and to bless our children and bless our family and good thing, is the same tongue we'll use to curse others. And in some instances, some people curse themselves without even knowing it. So I do believe that connections is so important. And most people in this world apparently we so live from day to day without paying attention to what comes out of our mouth, you know, that we don't we're not realizing what comes out of our mouth is what is manifested in our heart. And that connection, once it's negative, it creates a negative vibration around us, and we are what we attract, right? And my last couple of months, I've realized, and through a friend of mine, I will call her name Rhonda Sanchez, that we had that conversation because she's a life coach, and she believes in this kind of conversation, and this is what we have. And based on checking back on my life experience and things has happened, I realized that some of the things that happened to me in the negative realm, I would have brought it to myself with some of the things that I was speaking out of my mouth, with not knowing the impact it would have had in the universe to come back to me, and then return and say, but why this happening to me? Why this happened to me? Right? But truth and the fact is that weeks or months or however long ago, we were speaking negative to ourselves constantly, right? And the same way we don't want to speak negative to ourselves, we must also learn not to speak negative towards people, right? And so this is why this podcast is important, and I'm really glad to have you here, because you know we go through life with our head in the sand and not knowing the importance of what comes out of our mouth and the energy that we walk with. So the energy that surrounds me and you that we cannot see, are we the generating factor of that energy? Would you say?
Yes, I would agree with you. It's always there. That energy field is always there. They call it the luminous energy field.
Okay,
And luminous means light. So it's always there. We come on earth with it. That's what this is about. But because we are ignorant of it, because we were not taught it, because we live in a culture where, and that's okay, because we are coming out of that. It's going to take some time, because people like you are going to ensure that we come out of that. People like you are going to make sure that we connect dots, and
and people like you too, don't just give me that. we
you
we
know,
gonna people like you
um,
and me, will help. We will help the masses come out of it with what we're doing, right? That's
yes.
important. Yes,
Mhm.
I don't want to take all the credit for that. I want you right there with me.
And one of the things that we recognize as you look at your heart energy, it is so very important because, as I was going back before, and we have to connect now, connect the dots. In the middle of your chest is your thymus gland. Again, 20, 30 years ago, they said it holds no purpose. But check the importance of the heart. When somebody gets a heart attack, they don't tap you behind your head. What do? They pump your chest.
Yes.
Think about it carefully.
Yes.
So that's to tell you the heart has more brain, has more connecting cells than the brain. Because the brain carries the wave, the heart carries the energy. So if you think something, it's the heart that carries it out. But before we live in that culture where we worship the brain, where we miss the point of how things must come together, how we have a right and a left side of the brain. What do we use? Why do we use the left side? When we do something, is this my left side of my brain that's talking, or is it the right side of my brain that's talking? In ancient times, people wrote from the right side of the page to the left side of the page. You research it. All ancient tradition, whether it was the Egyptians, the early Christians, the Indus Kush people, all the indigenous people of Australia and all over the world, they always wrote from right to left. Why? The right side of the brain is a side of the brain that's very female. It's very thoughtful. It's very wise. It's so that's where the heart sometimes take its cue from. And the left side of the brain has its work as well. So it's very logical, it's very masculine, it's very one and one is two. When you ask a woman if one and one is two, she say, I wonder. You think so? Let's use another method of approach. So what I'm saying is that when you look at life and you look at where that heart comes from, most illnesses, and the research are showing, especially breast cancer, you have a heart issue. It does not have to be that your heart not functioning, but it means that the emotion, that the psychological ability of the heart, so the organs that the heart energy center manages is those upper organs, the breast, the lungs, the thymus gland, that those are the organs that the heart manages. So what we have done now is that we have not separated the energy from the physical, but connect it up. So the energy centers has a color. So that energy center of the heart, the color is yellow. Think about it. Just watch it how it's swinging. So it has a color, okay? It has organs attached to it. It has emotions attached to it. It has psychological activity attached to it. So that when you have all of these, then you say, okay, well, the yellow foods are the foods that are going to impact on my heart. I was going to say, when you eat all your pumpkin soup and your carrots and that sort of thing, it impacts on the stomach, and the stomach feeds the heart. So everything is interrelated. Nothing is really separated,
Yeah.
And why it's important for us to recognize the interrelationship of the heart and what it impacts on. Love. Okay, you're talking about love. But love is not attached to a thing. It is the energy of love that makes the universe. So in my mind, love is a currency. If you think about it like that.
Yeah.
Right? So what it does, it makes us bring things together. It brings us to, I was telling Vera that I work with that it attracts to you because it is the energy and energy attracts it. The heart is like a magnet. A simple thing. Sometimes you see somebody so good, a man looking good, 20 years pass, he's still watching me, 30 years pass, you watch him. One day he stepped there, do you want to go to dinner?
yeah,
Think
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Helps you to make connections. It helps you to live in harmony with people. But we were not taught that. We were taught that I could say what I want, affects. That's okay. You have a choice to do that. But your body have a choice to respond as well. You
yes,
see?
yes. I know. I understand. I understand. And also, you said something earlier on about that heart. That heart. You know, I've never dived so deep into the heart, into that aspect of the connections and what it
Mm-hmm.
is. But
Mm-hmm.
what are you saying there makes so much sense because I have met two persons, actually know them, and they were in some bad relationship, and it was normal people, and because of how stress affected those persons, they end up with heart muscle damage,
Now,
right?
rest in
And
peace.
right,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I didn't believe that was practical, and one actually takes pills uh, for that still, and the other recently told me she has another checkup to get
Mm-hmm.
done, right? And that was coming out of a toxic relationship, right? So that heart, whatever happened there, and that connection between the heart and the brain, and it affected the physical structure, as you were saying. So what you're saying there makes so much sense because when people say they have a broken heart based on a relationship, and they say that out of their mouth, and going through the brain, and some people lose weight physically, some people gain weight physically, some people appearances change, drawn down, right, because of the effects of their heart based on vibration, because it's not somebody do them nothing physically. It was based on the vibration, a negative vibration based on a relationship that affected that person. And then because of that, it affect them physically. But so one thing, talking about this now is really unique, right? It's really unique. And I never look at it. I mean, I got a broken heart in my days too. So I,
Oh,
yeah, so I say, all right, okay. All right. So now I was like, but why I'm feeling like this? My chest feeling tight. So what going on? She didn't hit me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I
yeah.
So it's like, and then we say out of our mouth again, you see the connection? Then we say out of our mouth, she hurt me or he hurt me,
Ah.
and I'm feeling broken hearted. That's the normal line.
Mm-hmm.
I got my heart broken. So when you
Mm-hmm.
feel that emotion and you speak that out to your mouth based on what your heart tell your brain and that connection, your physical body now sometimes, which will embark on some stressful times, get yourself sick. And that's why doctors always say, and it's true, stress, right? Stress is so dangerous. And I mean, you are a registered nurse and you see the effects of stress, what it does to people, right? And what it does to them physically. But it starts, correct me if I'm wrong, it usually starts from the heart, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're correct.
Ah, that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I am learning again a class here, right? And actually learning. So now, all right, I ready for relationship now. I ready. So over
Mm-hmm.
there, yeah, I can deal with them now. I hold in the heart, I tell in the heart, yeah, I said to the
Really
heart,
have
hey,
the
behave
insurance. Yeah.
yourself, behave yourself.
Yeah.
When my heart get out that time, I say, hey, I'm blocking up that connection between the heart and the brain. I say, hey, no, 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 no. Don't send that message up at all. Don't
True,
send that
true.
message up. I'm blocking it right here. I say, no, don't send that message up. Because I don't want to affect my muscles at all. So
Yeah.
I'm blocking
Yeah.
that here. But it's really amazing thinking about it now. As you bring it, you make it so clear for me, and I'm pretty sure you would have made it clear for a lot of people looking at this program that wait now, yeah, boy, it makes sense, because why do we allow ourselves to get hurt so much? by somebody words or somebody action, because he may have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, or a wife, and he may go and see them in a position that is look suspicious, right? Because of being in a relationship with you. And without the person saying a word, we just feel this thing in our chest, right? And then we just say some kind of thing and we act, throw tantrum, and our that vibe, we have this kind of negative energy come across us. And sometimes, and I say that all the time, sometimes our suspicion is wrong. You know what I mean? It might be a sister or a cousin, the man or the woman talking to, right? And we go on and show tantrum with that based on just how we feel without asking a question. And that is so amazing, and as we speak now, I think you have internet, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a
Victor,
little,
are you hearing me?
I hear you now. You had a little internet something there. No, I hear you. You're on. Right. So I could see she having some connection problem there.
Yeah, we have a little connection. We get back on the
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah. You're right. You okay now? All right. So, all right, you're still having connection, but it's fine. Right. So the importance of this vibration, right? The importance of this vibration. Right. You're back now. You hear me?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're okay there. You're okay there. So what I was saying is that it's fine. It's happened, and I think it's the internet giving us trouble on your side, and it's fine. I'll keep the thing alive, and we do our stuff, right? So as I
Yeah.
said, I will I prepare to going forward now to keep that hat on the lock and key, and don't send no signal up to the top, right?
No, the thing is, Victor, you don't want anything to stay here and go to the brain. And go from the brain to the heart, because that's a pass through the brain, pass through the throat, and then let's get to the heart. What has happened is that we have to understand, and these energy centers are like a pinhead. But when we go through these emotional experiences, it opens up and it goes right out there. So you pick up all sorts of things out there that you're not supposed to pick up. So it's come like you have an open book, as you were saying, with no lock. The gate is open. But when you take these energy centers and you bring them back, so you have to bring them back close together so that they come back like a pinhead. Because remember, they are wheels that's spinning in a circular motion all the time. As a matter of fact, it's where we download from when we come into Earth, and it's where we upload when we are leaving the planet. And those things, that's another topic about energy medicine. So the vibration that you experience in the heart, you will now have to learn how. So I'm explaining this. Sometimes when we used to see these movies and these chimpanzees used to be beaten up the chest,
Yeah.
and we are like, was King Kong? You see,
Yes.
and the monkeys do it.
Yes.
Why? Because the thymus gland is managed by the heart chakra, by the heart energy center. But the thymus gland is part of the immune system. So there's this connection. Nothing is disconnected, but we live in a world where this is mine and that is yours. And so I'm going to make this bold statement. We sometimes are into specific areas of health, and we feel that what I am doing is correct, and what you are doing here is correct. No, that's not how it is. Everything is inter and intra-related. So I go to the hospital and I have surgery. I might have open heart. Good. So after I've gotten better, or before I go, there's no system where I can come and get my heart chakra in order and put it in a place where the thymus gland and all the organs around are going to flow. If you look at the heart, the organs up here are what the heart manages, the heart chakra manages. But we come back to the lungs, and these are upper organs. So there's grief that takes place. What does grief do? You know, so kind of like think about the inter and intra relationship of things. So we kind of like separate things. And as I was saying before, my profession, I'm learning about energy medicine. When I stopped working in the government service, which I chose to at the time, I found that there was so much that I identified with, you know, in health, that I just didn't know what to do with it. But there was some doubts in my mind. And then I did this, I started to dig into energy medicine and then, you know, a number of things. And then I went into energy medicine, and I was able now to connect up the dots with the physiology and the biology and the role of natural medicine and the role of exercise and all of those things that you are able now to put together. So in the journey for your health, you now have to map out what your mental health, your physical health, your psychological health, your spiritual health, and your emotional health. And depending on the organ, it will tell you which emotion that you need to pay attention to. So that's a diagnosis tool.
Yes.
If you see me, I hear this man, check your heart.
Yes, it comes with an emotional feeling.
Right.
Yes,
So
you're
it
correct.
comes with emotion. It comes with psychological adjustment as well. So in your heart, you will have your neuroses, your psychoses. You will also have all your distancing, your greed. So sometimes you say, "Oh, this person greedy." You know that's something wrong with the heart, and when you express that, you know that you need to check your own energy. So there's nothing that's separated. It comes like us. You're male and I'm female, as they say. But I produce testosterone, but to a lesser extent. And
Yes,
you
yes.
produce estrogen to a lesser
Let's
extent.
extent, yes.
You know, so we just have to understand how this works out. You know, Vera and I was talking about how we function in the spa. So, you know, we always talk about this inter and intra relationship, that everybody here comes together, you know. So Vera doing her saluma and all her pedicure and manicure, and then, you know, there's energy medicine here, and then there is the dentist, and then there is a teacher, and then there's somebody who has a home nursing agency. But it's going to bring your heart together to be able to bring that together. You know, it's going to,
Yes.
so that's an exercise in heart. We might think that
Yes.
it's money too, but it's an exercise in heart. So that
Yes.
when we live in this society, that people feel that all is mine, you know, something wrong with their heart. And so,
Yes.
yeah. So sometimes when we can identify that as a diagnosis, and you can do your research, look and get somebody who has an illness, a specific illness, and question them about their emotions. And it will identify you. What's the psychological self? And you will see the connection.
Yeah, and that is why, you're so correct, because, you know, they always say, no matter what illnesses you have or what sickness you have, it always pays to have a positive attitude in spite of,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it's now connecting, because if you say, well, I have this, and you all loom and groom and whatever, you actually welcoming that particular sickness, and most likely, it will stay on you because of you actually saying yes to a negative energy.
Exactly.
That's what it's saying, and
Brilliant.
make no sense. And and
Brilliant.
and what I want to ask, because the time is flying so fast, as you can see, you know. But you tell me,
You
oh,
did
I
tell
can't.
me that.
Yeah, yeah. You tell me, oh, I can't for a while, and then I look at you now, yeah, like you need extra time, right? Yeah. So, because I know I met you, and I know you have so much information that need to be shared out there, because there's so much people don't know how to deal with relationship issue, with broken heart,
Mhm.
right? And things like that. And I have a friend actually. Actually, Let me ask you this on behalf of a friend. I have a friend, very good friend of mine, who would have had a loss years ago, someone special in her life. All right, and she hasn't moved on, you know, in the sense of other relationships, right? And she would have said, you know what? She said, Vic, I can't move on. You know, that person was so nice and loving and this and that, and they would have passed in a couple of years, well now,
Mhm.
right? And you know, she avoid any kind of, you know,
Mhm.
so, and I was saying, I say, you know, you stuck somewhere between there, and you're rubbing it. It's just me. I don't
Mhm. You're
psycho. You
correct.
know, I'm just saying, as a
Mhm.
friend, you know,
Mhm.
you're robbing yourself of the possibility. I say you could keep the memories. Of good
Mhm.
memories is okay, but in the
Mhm.
present, from the past, good memories are okay. But
Mhm.
now in the present, you actually not moving forward emotionally, you know, and that kind of thing. So I don't know if you have a twist to that, you know. I don't know. I know you have some
Yeah,
kind of twist.
that's why I have
It's
a
grief.
healing center. That's why I have a
I
healing
know.
center.
I
So
know.
people
I
can
know.
calm. And because what
Yes.
happened, that heart energy, that heart mm, chakra that has become so large that it stuck up everything. That's why sometimes we feel the chest or chest tight because the energy center is a pin and it's supposed to be spinning clockwise. So most of the times it's spinning anti-clockwise. So everything goes off and you get stuck in that area. And
Mm.
so you're not gonna move unless you have a lot of work to do. But if you get that energy center moving and you have light and spin it around in the proper direction, you actually feel, you
A
know,
relief.
yes, like some, um, I have some clients who come and say, okay, give me a little 15 minutes here, let me sleep. You know why? Because, and then we have the concept of flight or fright. We do that all the time. We either freeze or we flee. Am I correct?
Ah, yes.
And that
Yes.
is connected to the heart and the Tantian, that strength energy center, that second energy center that's just on your navel or just under there. So there is also a connection because when at birth, after 8 months, when the child goes to the pediatrician, and this is the Morris reflex, where the pediatrician just take up the baby's head and you see the baby come back and he wiggles up. That is the flight or fright. But after 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, as human beings, we lose it. Animals keep it. So you will see a cat running down a lizard, and the lizard runs up the tree. And then the cat stands up there 5 minutes, and then the lizard goes, and he's okay, la 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 la. If something happened to us, there's sometimes something happened 20, 40 years ago, and we
Yeah.
still talk about it. But what we
Today.
forget is we pass the body through the same emotion. The body doesn't know that it's 20 years ago it happened. So the
Mm.
body goes through the same stress process that 20 years ago. So if you
Yes.
relate that situation 10 times a day, your body doesn't know that you're not there. So it
Eh.
responds
Yes.
to that stress.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
cortisol,
Yes.
remember, stress is a feed system. It's not stop. It's not a feast and relax system. It's not a fast and feast. It's a feed system. And we have to put a stop to it. Because those cortisol will carry you down a road. And that's why the dog bite you and then he lie down quiet. You ever check it out? That's how animals operate. So we
Yes.
just had a look and see how life is, you
And
know.
what? Yes. And one thing I want to ask before we time run out on us, which is
Mhm.
almost there, is that the negative effect of grief have on your heart. Grief.
Okay. So grief is connected to our lung. We come back again to that upper chest. That's where the
Yes.
heart is. That's where the
Mm.
lung is. So anytime I'm holding on to grief, I know It is that thymus gland and that energy, that heart energy center that needs to be cleared and come back to its normal size. Other than that, I will hold on and hold on and I will grieve. Now, mind you, stress has its role. It's not that you're not supposed to be stressful, but you don't live there. So here's where the reprogramming come in. Here's where we talk about meditation. Here's where we talk about relaxation. Here's where we program the brain and connect it to the heart, and then you make the difference. And it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long at all. But remember, it was not something that was prepared. Our ancestors did it. Long time, when maybe before you were born, in the Indian community, you go on and get your chakra aligned. Your African community, you don't have a baby, you're going by the Baptist lady. And the midwife in the community as well had that kind of knowledge that she was able to balance all these energy centers. But we could go on and on and on, about it. That's another story. Because when these people were so wise, that's why we're in an auspicious place, such a great place. Long after you had a baby in ancient times, the midwives took the mother outside and put her to stand on the dirt. Barefooted. And she will wash her face and wash her feet. When I did Qigong, when I did Tai Chi, when I did energy medicine, everything was connected right there. Now, science is showing us, so we have no excuse. We can go and look and see how science connected dots for us. So we will know what is correct and what's not correct.
Yes. You helped me a lot there, and I'm sure there's a lot of people you would have helped based on that connection between your heart and your brain. Because most people act out of emotions and not even allowing their brain to have a say. And say, you know what? No, right? Because even if I believe, I could be wrong. When your emotions, when your heart feel, get an emotion and send it up to your brain, before you open our mouth, try to process it and say, you know what? Take a breath. Because, there's a code that say, when I get angry or if I count to 100 or something, and by the time you reach 100, that emotion, it's not as intense as before, or when you're arguing, before you respond to a heated argument, just give yourself time, at 5 minutes to say, and then usually the response usually be different than reacting right after somebody say or do something to you, right? And that's why for me personally, I've learned to, it's accurate like that too, but I've learned, you know what, it's sometimes or most times it's better to stay silent for a bit, and because those thoughts run through your mind in milliseconds. It might just be 30 seconds to think before you respond. Right, and sometimes our response could cause us a lifetime of misery and pain when we act based on an emotion. Yes,
you're correct.
Right, so knowledge is there, and I realized that we're out of time. So before we almost out of time. I can't believe before we start and what you said and look at you now, right? So and some people I just really bring back on the podcast, like maybe 2 months, 3 months, you know what I mean? And, I'm definitely going to bring you back on a particular topic. And one of the things before we close off, I always, ask the guests to, let people know where they can reach you for your services and where, and give out your number. And, and in your case, I know you have you work out of a structure apart from personal, one-on-one. So you can let us know, let the viewers know where and if any social at all. If not, just let us know where we can find where we can find you and things like that.
Right. So I've got a website, Kumsa.
Right. So just before we close, and I realize that just as you're going to give your website and your social and all of that, your internet's gone back in trouble again. So that is some negative energy somewhere trying to get you involved our podcast, because you're saying so much of important things out there to the viewers, and just like myself, understanding the connection between my heart and mind, how important it is. And a matter of fact, if some of us learn to not, react based on the emotion, we probably will have less crime, we probably have less, suicide and less things like that, right? So we would have lost her, right? I realized she lost. So again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for, supporting Fortress Fitness Lifestyle, not just the podcast, but our magazine page and all our symposium and initiative that comes out of that. And I hope that I've been motivating, some people with my content that I've been putting out there, right? And letting you all know, put your health first is really, really important, because a lot of us is dying from lifestyle diseases, right? Based on the choices that we make, based on what we put in our mouth, right? So every single day I post something on my platform, tune in based on, tips on health and wellness, right? Mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, right? Whatever it is, just give yourself a chance. So before I close, one thing I normally say to people, take a chance on yourself. Give yourself a chance, right? Let your future self say, hey, thanks for changing your lifestyle 20 years, 10 years ago. So here we are now when we're 60, 70, and we're all right based on the choices we make, right? And you're never too old to start, and it's never too late to start, right? So tune in again next week, 7 p.m., Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Podcast on YouTube, where we'll have another exciting guest again. This is your boy Vic. Have a blessed night, and may God bless you all, you and your family, and stay safe. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching. Special thanks to our partners, Virtuoscope VA Services, where you get virtual services done your way. See you next weekend, same time, same place.